in the style 2 Goto statement, transferring the control from top to bottom, down. In style 2, here you can see the Goto statement is on top with a label name, and you can find the label at the bottom down of the program or bottom of the program. So here if condition is true, then it will reach to the Goto statement, and once the Goto statement instructs go to the label name. So from here to directly by skipping statement 1 and 2, it will go to a label name. Here if the test condition is true, Goto will transfer the program's control to the specific label, which in the example from Goto instruct the statement to the label, so it will jump from top to bottom to the label name other statements. Now we can see in the example, in this example you can find a Goto statement with end. Now end is the label here, and you can find the end label followed with instruction called print bye bye. And here once the condition is true, then it will go to end. Now end specifies go and print bye bye. Here we can see the mechanism called top to bottom, and here you can see the sample output. First it will execute enter an integer number. If integer number, it will read by using the scanf statement. If it is less than or equal to 0, then it will go and it will say bye bye. And here you can see which is a jumping statement from go to end, so it will come directly to the end and print bye bye. Now we can see here, if it is less than 0, the number will be displayed here. Number 1, 2, 3, which is given here, and it will say bye bye. If it is 0, it will go and directly say bye bye, number 0 and bye bye. It means that in Goto statement top to bottom, it will jump from top to bottom where the label is found. And coming to the next one, unconditional statement break. The break statement allows the programmer to terminate the loop. The break skips from the loop or the block in which it is defined. The control then automatically passes on to the first statement after the loop or the block. Here the break, which we use frequently in switch case, where each case has to be executed based on the switch value. Once the case value is executed, then automatically it has to be terminated. It has to be break the flow, and it will skip to the next section after the switch statement. So here break we can generally use it in switch case, and we can also use break statement in nested loops. If we use break statement in the innermost loop, then the control of the program is terminated from that loop and resumes at the next statement followed the loop. The widest use of the statement is in switch case, where it is used to avoid flow of control from one section to the another section. And usually I can say that a break can be used in switch control. Now you can see the example program, a program which is used to display a week day based on the week number. Here in the switch you can see a week number. Suppose if number is 1 and switch value is 1 and case value is 1, so the condition is true, it will print Monday, and then it will break from the case and it will go to the final statement called return, and it will stop executing. Likewise, based on the case value, switch value, appropriate case will execute. After case execution, automatically the break which breaks the flow and exit from that block. And the third one is continue. The continue statement, somewhat like the break statement, instead of forcing the control to the end of the loop as in the case of break, in the case of continue, which causes the control to pass on to the beginning of the loop instead of exit from the loop or group. So what I mean is instead of forcing the control to the end of the program as in the case of break, the continue causes the control to pass on the beginning of the block or loop. In the case of a for loop, the continue case initiates the testing condition and increments on steps has to be executed, while the rest of the statements following the continue are neglected. For a while or do while, the continue case causes control to pass on to condition test. It is useful in a programming situation where it requires that particularly iterations looping occur only up to some extent, or when some part of the code has to be neglected. So the main difference between break and continue is that the break, which is used to stop the process, the flow has to be stopped and it will come out of that loop or function. Whereas if you go for continue, which is like to stop the process, the further process, and it will come to the first statement in that control. So these are the summary points. Finally, I want to state it, giving some points. C has 4 statements that perform unconditional control transfer. They are go to, break, return, and return. When you come to the return here, return is a keyword which exclusively used in functions, where a function which is called by main program, and the program control has to be shifted from main program to the subprogram, and it has to execute all the instructions within the program. And while returning back to the main program, some of the values need to be shared or need to pass from the function to the main program. So we can use return statement which copies which may pass, which acts as a vehicle to transfer data from the function to the main function. So here return is also used as, we call it as a jumping statement. Why? Because when a function is called and with a return value, the value has to be returned to the main program. So it will jump the control from main program to subprogram and from subprogram to main program. So in functions we can use a return statement, and whereas the go to and return may be used anywhere in the program, but continuous break statements may be used only in conjunction with the looping statements. And the go to statement does not require any condition. The statement just passes control anywhere in the program without considering any condition. The break statement will allow the programmer to terminate a loop. It is widely used in switch case, where it is used to avoid the flow of control from one case to another. The continue statement works somewhat like the break statement, but instead of forcing the control to the end of the loop as in case of break, the continue case causes the control to pass on at beginning of the block. And these are the tutorials which I used, and I want to share with my audience. Some of the online tutorial websites given here, and some of the videos which I taken from NPTEL. So these are the topic resources where I can use. And finally, I would like to thank my audience Thank you very much.